Hello and welcome to Twisted Britain, a podcast on true crime in Britain with a sprinkling of the weird and the macabre. And your host is me, Bob Dale. And each week I'll tell you a story of something twisted, set to me in a challenge by another podcaster or somebody else. I am, as always, recording in the settle in. So sit back, relax, and I hope you like this one. I hope everybody's well. I am. I have a pint in my hand, so I can't really complain. This week I have a rather interesting story. The challenge was set to me by Tara and Jessica of the wonderful Spooked Girls podcast. Now, I'm a big fan of theirs, and they were kind enough to send through a challenge for me that once again has led me down a dark, dark rabbit hole. So thank you very much for that, ladies. We shall get back to this week's challenge shortly, but first off, I managed to have a chat with Phil from the Aethuran Dark Saga podcast during the week, and we had a chat about the challenge he'd set me from last week, which, if you haven't had a chance to listen to yet, Phil set me the challenge of demons. However, before I play the chat that we had, which is a bit of a long one this time, so I'll try and snip it down a bit, but I might play it in full. We'll see how we go. This is what I received from Phil while setting up. Now, to be fair, I was running slightly behind when I said we'd meet, hook up to do the chat because I was putting Isaac to bed, and as is the case with Phil, I got a wee sound clip through as I sat down to the desk. In fact, I'll tell you what, I'll just play it for you just now.
He sat back, letting out a sigh of relief. The children were finally asleep in their beds, and so, with a drink in hand, he relaxed into his uncomfortable seating. The clock on his desktop PC ticked from 1959 to 2000, and just like clockwork, he saw Bob TB come online on the Discord app. He'd planned to do a short chit-chat for Bob's show Twisted Britain, a brief, talking, covering the main points of Bob's last episode, yet little did Phil know that would never happen. For Phil was unaware that Bob was naked except for his special latex gloves, fully erect from excitement, dripping with sweat, and worst of all, standing right behind him.
Well, I hope that set a rather beautiful picture for everybody. Will I, however, say I don't often wear just latex gloves, especially not to the pub. Not at this time of year anyway, that's for sure. And yeah, that's more an insight into Phil's brain than it is into mine, I'm afraid. So thank you very much for that, Phil. Anyway, back to the chat that we had. Like I say, it was a bit of a long chat, so I'll try and cut it down a bit. But here we go. Hey Phil, how are you, man? You all right?
I'm good, mate. It's nice to speak to you finally.
Yeah, I know, it's been a long time coming, hasn't it?
Definitely has, definitely.
We've managed to online chat quite a lot, but I mean, we've heard each other's voices, so this is kind of weird, actually. I knew what you sounded like. I know what you're like because I've text chatted to you, but here we are chatting. So yeah, nice to vocally meet.
This is the first time I've like talked to you, and you've actually responded to me instead of me just.
I know. I've never left chat rooms so quickly in my life before, but you know. I have just played the clip that you sent to me, and I'd like you to know that I have put on my special outfit, especially for this chat. I've got the latex gloves on. And that's all, which is weird because the wife's in the room next door just wondering what the fuck I'm up to, but never mind.
But to be fair, that's how I do all my recording, so it gets me in the mood.
So thank you very much for setting the second ever Twisted Britain challenge for the new format.
My pleasure.
It was when I was planning out what I was going to do. I always had yourselves and Seeing Red and a couple other that are coming up in mind to do it, because I figured if I'm going to try something out, I might as well have
people that I know are not going to say no on board, and you'd give us a dig out. So thank you very much for that.
To be honest with you, mate, it's been my goal since I listened to I think it was the second episode. Ever since then, I was like, right, I am going to take Nadine out somehow, and I'm going to take her place, and it'll be me and Bob forever. No, sorry. I mean, I was just a fan of the show.
to be honest, when I run out of people to annoy to get challenges off of, we may have to resort to that. To be honest,
I'll do my best Scottish accent and pretend to be Nadine.
Perfect.
Sure, she'll appreciate that.
Having said second episode, what was wrong with the first one that you didn't listen to?
Nothing at all. I just now you've put me into a corner now. Nothing. I just like to listen to the latest episode first.
Okay. I'll let you off. It's fine.
Yeah, cheers, mate.
So yeah, you chose Demons.
Yeah.
Thankfully, because when I heard Blancmange, I couldn't have hated you more. But we're fine now. When I was sitting going creamy crime, I was like, I could really not going to do this well. But yeah, Demons was pretty fun. A very dark rabbit hole I ended up going down, but
definitely.
I think I found a suitable story. Was it one you'd heard of before?
It was one I'd heard of before, actually. And weirdly enough, I don't know if I'd confused it with another show, but I thought you'd actually already covered that one. Because I couldn't remember. For some reason, I felt like I'd heard you say it before. But yeah, I was familiar with the story. It was mainly because of the poodle stuck out in my head. Yeah. And I had this image in my head of this guy like chewing on a poodle's leg, just saying, "It doesn't taste anything like noodles." But, I don't know.
I know Paul from True Crime Enthusiast had covered it before.
Yeah.
It was his first ever one when he moved from a blog to a podcast, which is where I found a lot of my research. As I've said before, I like to listen to other people telling the story, and then I'll go and find the facts and make them as twisted as possible. So, yeah, Michael Taylor. Well, I'm of two minds when it comes to Michael. Whether he was, I mean, he was obviously a murderer. He killed his wife and the poodle. No, let's not forget about the poodle, of course. But I think it was a sad case of a man who had his mind broken by, well, the church, really. And I was warned about how to phrase that when I was writing it. I said to the wife, "Can I say the church drove him to murder?" She was like, maybe rephrase that slightly." But I don't care. It's fine.
It was weird because I was actually surprised. I didn't realise from when I'd heard it before that it was from up this way as well. So it's not too far away from me in North Yorkshire, wasn't it? Was it West Yorkshire?
Ossett's in West Yorkshire, yeah.
Yeah. So it's not too far away from where I live anyway.
Obviously, that was deliberate, of course.
Well, to be fair, we're all infected with demons around this area. So at least that's what I see on a Friday night anyway, outside the local.
I'll bet, man. Yeah. Do you go to settle in as well? Yeah.
We've got our own.
Good.
It's called the Unsettled Inn where we live. So. But yeah, it was. Like I say, I'd heard the story before, and the only thing that really puzzled me the most, and I know you made a bit of a point of it as well, was when they told him what demons he was possessed by. I mean, it couldn't have been the demon of just chilling out on the couch watching Netflix on your own. It had to be the demon of murder and like violence and stuff like that, which is something I'm definitely going to take up.
Yeah, it was murder, violence, and anger. You know,
yeah, it's a bit of a weird one, that, because I don't obviously I don't study the Bible too much, but I have done a little bit of research for my own show and stuff like that, and I feel like they've made those up just to kind of fuck with him, you know.
Yeah, I mean, it's not the boy band I would put out there as to say, you know,
no.
These are the ones that are just chilling out inside you. And
it also makes me wonder how many, like, he could fit inside of him, you know. I mean, there's many avenues we could take out there.
Indeed.
But,
Well, apparently there was.
I'm glad it was just demons.
Yeah, and not the anyway. Yeah. So apparently there was 40 inside of him when they took the register at the beginning, obviously. And after
how could he walk after that? Do you know what I mean?
And if you take 8 hours to get 37 of them out, just take the extra half hour, 40 minutes. Just clean them up, and then you don't have anybody going home in a murderous rage. So yeah, like I say, thank you very much for being a part of Twisted Britain. It's been a long time coming, and it was an absolute pleasure to get you on board. For those,
certainly was, mate. I've told everyone about. I was actually even telling my own mother today. She can't even. I can't even get him to listen to my show. She still thinks I'm delusional. She thinks I'm just writing it all down on my phone.
Talking about your show, and I'm a big fan, and it was the soundtrack to my summer holiday when you first released it. In the journey between the Isle of Islay up to Oban, I think I listened to 4 or 5 episodes on the trot. So I'm a big fan, as you know I am, and I think anybody who, like myself, is into your fantasy stuff, check out Aethuran Dark Saga. Did I get it right that time?
Yeah, Aethuran Dark Saga. That's what I like to call it.
Dark Saga. I'll put a link in the show notes so everybody can find it.
I appreciate that, mate. It will be spelled correctly there as well, I'm sure.
Because I will copy and paste it from your Twitter page, so it will absolutely... Yeah, if anybody's listening and fancies a bit of a fantasy, am I allowed to say kind of audio novel type? Is that audio?
Yeah, it's not pure drama. It will become an audio drama as I've moving up. Anyway, yeah, I'm moving away from that. Just live action, like novel, I suppose.
Yeah.
But yeah, sorry, mate.
No, that's all right. That's cool. That's why we're having a blather. So yeah, anybody listening and fancies check it out, go and check out Phil's show. It's in the show notes, and basically if you go on any of our social medias, we're following Phil there anyway, so you'll be able to find it. I'm going to say once again, thank you very much for being a part of this, Phil, and we'll get you back on. I know I've promised you to come on and do a case, but so as I work out the Twisted Britain schedule going forward, we'll get you on to do we'll co-host an episode if you're cool with it.
Yeah, it'd be my absolute pleasure, mate. Hopefully I can do something like a one-off type of special thing for you.
I'd love that. That'd be great.
I'd just like to say I'm chuffed that you've continued to keep going, mate, because it would be a shame to see this go. It is my favourite true crime, and I'm not just saying that. It genuinely is. I love the format, and I like the way things are going now as well.
Thanks very much.
And you've got my full support, mate.
That means a lot. Thank you very much for saying that. That's very kind of you. But I will keep you no longer. And it's Friday night, and we have both got, well, not better things to do, but other things to do, I suppose.
Yeah, I go back to watching you from your window.
Yeah, indeed. And I'll go and take the plastic gloves off now. We're all good. So yeah, thanks for being a part of this, Phil, and we'll chat soon. Cheers, man.
No problem, mate. Nice to speak to you.
So I'm sure somewhere in that lengthy message, Phil managed to say at some point I managed to complete the challenge for him. So thanks again, Phil, for doing that for me. And we'll definitely get in touch, and we'll get you to join me for a co-hosted episode at some point soon. It'll be really cool to do, and I look forward to it. So yeah, thanks again. And if you haven't had a chance to check out Aethuran Dark Saga yet, please do. It's a wonderful audio drama podcast that I'm sure if you're a fan of the stories we tell in Twisted Britain, you'll be a fan of Phil's work too. So jump on that. So back to the Spooked Girls. Now, once again, I'm going to suggest that you go and check out Spooked Girls. It's one of my favorite podcasts, and I'm not just saying that. I really enjoy their take on both crime and the paranormal. They talk about everything basically, from spookiness through to murder, and they release an episode every Monday and every Thursday. And I genuinely mean it. They are one of my faves. In fact, go and listen now. As long as you promise to come back and finish this episode off too. So, without any further ado, here is the challenge that they set for me.
Hey, Bob. This is Tara and Jessica from 3 Spooked Girls.
Hi.
And we have chosen a word for you for your challenge.
We challenge you to use the word high heels.
Yes, yes. So we're excited to see what you come up with. And good luck, friend. Bye.
Bye.
High heels. That's right. In case you missed it, they said high heels. Now, I'm not one for wearing high heels. Well, not often. And I mean, there might have been a few occasions in the past, but, you know, it's tricky to get them in a size 9, honestly. So I'm going to say from the outset here that I haven't used the word specifically high heel in this, but we'll get onto the kind of link in a minute. So what do you do when you set a one-word challenge by somebody? Well, you jump on the old interweb and you search for that word and you put crime after it. And the top case that comes up, unfortunately, was in the States. It's a really interesting read, actually. It's a woman who used a high heel to stab her boyfriend 25 times to the head with a blue suede heel, nonetheless. If you want to know a bit about that one, if you go on to the old interweb and stick in high heel Anna Trujillo, Trujillo, you'll be able to read all about that case. So I found a few things out while I was searching for a suitable story for you all. One, it's not illegal to drive in the UK in high heels, but you can be charged for careless driving if they affect your driving. There has been a rise in crime in recent years, with high heels being stated as a weapon. Some of the most serious cases leaving the victim blinded or hospitalised. Between 2013 and 2016, there was 147 violent crimes linked to stilettos. In Edinburgh, a man by the name of Graham Roach was attacked while working as a doorman. He had to have surgery to save his left eye, after being attacked with a high heel. The perpetrator received 40 months in jail. So the problem is that none of these led to anything substantial that I could tell you about. And it wasn't until I was discussing the challenge with Leslie, who's the boss in the pub, she found a story. Leslie, you will hear in a couple of weeks' time. She's going to come and join me on the podcast, and I'm really looking forward to that one. So she found a story on the old interweb that neither of us had ever heard of, and that's the one I'm going to tell you now. So to start off with, I'll kind of come back to the link with the challenge shortly, but let me set a scene for you. Once again, I do stress that this is a very twisted story, and it contains some quite squeamish things that some people may not like, so it's up to you if you carry on listening. In 2002, 3 people were handed life sentences from Manchester Crown Court for the murder of Philip Beerley, whose body was found in the River Mersey, and it had been cut to pieces, covered in concrete, and dumped in a canal. So who were these 3 people, and how did it all end in murder? Well, the main perpetrator in this is a woman by the name of Tracy Seward. Now, Tracy had a dark secret from the outside world. To most, she was a mother of 3 living with her partner in a common law scenario. Now, I know we've had a discussion about common law before, so let's just say that they'd been living together for 20 years and had 3 children together, and by all counts of reality, they were essentially married. They'd just never gone and done the actual ceremony. Tracy, however, to the internet, was a bit of a dominatrix with interests in sadomasochism and who liked to exert control over men that she met online with promises of pain. She's a lovely woman. She also starred in videos. Now, starred is quite an interesting word. I think you'd have to be reasonably famous to be starred in, but yeah, let's go with she was famous in a small circle. So she starred in these online videos under the name of Stiletto. She was worshipped by the men that she performed for, and they called her the Stiletto Goddess. So that is my link to high heels. The main thing that she starred in was crush videos. Now, these are I'd never heard of these, but they're some of the most horrible things I've ever read about. Really glad to have not found a video about them or of them. Basically, what she would do is use her high heels to quite literally crush and torture small animals. Now, I don't mean like a cat. I mean, you're talking invertebrates and the odd gerbil, I think, was in there as well. I'll not elaborate too much, but what I will say is she wasn't the only one in the relationship that was kind of into this. Philip was also into this sadomasochism, and he helped her make these videos in the family home in the garage. The pair of them were both active in online forums and chat rooms, which, as the internet was developing, made sharing their fetishes easier. Through this, they met other people, and one of them is the second of those convicted. He is a man by the name of Giona Previtali. He was a 26-year-old son of a Swiss police commissioner. Now, when they met online, he was in Switzerland, she was here. However, they did strike up an affair. I think at first online, but he came over to the UK. And Philip, not best pleased by this, didn't really like Giona very much, and on one occasion even attacked him. Tracy Tracy did leave Philip on several occasions of running away with Giona. Yet she always returned to him. Be it for whatever reason, I don't know, but we know that she went away on several occasions and came back. I guess probably having children with him had something to do with it. But whatever the reason is, I don't know specifically. However, what we do know is that Tracy and Giona were planning to get rid of Philip, and the only way to do that would be to kill him. The first attempt she made, well, she failed at it, basically. She managed to get one of her online admirers from Holland to send her sleeping tablets that she would use to poison Philip. But this attempt failed, so they had to come up with a better plan. I don't suppose any plan's good when it involves the demise of somebody else. But yeah, let's say a better plan than sleeping pills. It's at this time I'd like to introduce you to the third convicted person, Christopher Cassidy. He was a friend of Tracy and Philip's daughter and was a security guard. He was known to have hated Philip due to the depravity that he took part in, which I'll find a bit odd because it was Tracy that was standing on animals in the nude. But, you know, who's to decide what people are into? He was, however, another man who'd fallen under Tracy's spell, and he was a bit obsessed with her. Enough to agree to help them with their plan. This is the plan they managed to come up with, and they decided to use Cassidy as the hitman. They managed to obtain a gun from Giona whilst he was at home in Switzerland. He sent over an antique revolver and 12 bullets through the post, hidden in the base of an ornamental candlestick. Tracy received this package on the 11th of June, 2001. Now, I mentioned Cassidy was a security guard for a reason. He was basically employed to keep watched over a kind of abandoned, disused Volkswagen dealership in the Merseyside area. And as such, he would be the only one there. So on the evening of the 11th of June, the day she'd received a package, Tracy and Philip had been out for the evening, and she managed to convince him that they should go home via the garage where Cassidy was working. Earlier that day, she'd managed to sneak the antique gun and ammo to him. I have no idea how she managed to convince Philip to visit an empty garage at midnight, just the two of them. But what we do know is she was very, very good at convincing men to do what she wanted. So they arrive at the garage and Tracy pretended to faint. As Philip bent over to try and catch her, Cassidy put the gun to the back of his head and pulled the trigger 3 times. Now, Philip didn't die. Well, he wasn't medically dead at this point. He was moaning and writhing around on the floor and groaning. So as Cassidy stepped forward again to finish the job, I suppose, Tracy stopped him from pulling the trigger a 4th time. Cassidy later claimed when in an interview with detectives that she seemed to be enjoying Philip's suffering. After she had had her fill, he fired the 4th time and Philip died. The murder weapon and the remaining ammo was thrown into the River Mersey to dispose of it, and the following day, Giona flew into Liverpool Airport and joined the other two, where they set about the process of disposing the body. They dismembered it, cutting it into 7 parts, again, with Cassidy saying Giona seemed to enjoy the process. Once they'd finished this grisly task, they coated the body parts in quick-drying cement and dumped them in the Bridgewater Canal in Manchester. Tracy reported Philip missing to the police, saying he had left with the car and some of his fetish clothing. However, this excuse didn't really stick, and Philip's sister contacted the police suspecting foul play after Philip didn't turn up to a family birthday party. The police didn't really have anything to go on at this point, but they did go and speak to Tracy and Giona, and then they were arrested because they were the last people to have claimed to have seen him. When they were arrested, the two of them were found together, and this was on the 26th of June. Later that day, Christopher Cassidy handed himself in to the police. During the search of the house, the police found more than they were expecting, uncovering the crush videos on the computer and the online activities of the pair. Now, I would like to say at this point, which I probably should have said earlier, I have no issue with whatever people decide to do in their private lives. What you do at home is your own business until it starts culminating in you killing somebody, or in fact, you crushing live animals to death with your shoes. I think there has to be a line drawn at that point. I don't have anything against the BDSM communities or fetish websites and stuff like that. Loads of people are into that, and that's fine. But from the statements I read, the stuff that they found on these guys' computers was quite out there, shall we say. Through the information that had been gathered from the forum user in the United States and what they'd found on the couple's computer at home, Jonah and Tracy were questioned. But it was eventually Christopher Cassidy who was to give them all up. He admitted in an interview that he had been the one to shoot and kill Philip. He took officers to the scene of the crime where they managed to gather more evidence, and he also took them to the river where the gun was located and to the canal where police divers recovered the concrete encased body parts. All three of them were taken to trial and were sentenced to life, where Detective Superintendent Minsell said Philip would probably have been alive today if it had not been for the manipulative Tracy Seward. And he also said that this was one of the most gruesome, cold-hearted murders he'd ever dealt with. All three of them were sentenced to a life sentence, with Tracy Seward being named as the mastermind's not the right one, but the driving force behind the murders. So that's the slightly incredible and very crazy story of an internet-born horrible murder of a man who, despite his pastimes, did not deserve to die, and especially not at the hands of a crazy, power-hungry woman. And I hope they all serve their entire life sentences. Tara and Jessica, I hope that has answered your challenge. Thank you very much for doing that for me. I hope to catch up with you during the week and we can have a blether about it. Do let me know on social media if you have enjoyed this case. To everybody listening, if there is somebody specific that you would like me to ask to do a challenge for Twisted Britain, send us a message or put it on one of the Twisted Britain social media pages. I would very much like to hear who you think I should ask. I've sent emails to several people and I've got a few lined up. And like I said, I have a couple of co-hosts lined up. Leslie, who's in here, is going to do one for me, and Simon, who's written some of Nadine's stuff in the past, is going to do one as well. I'm hoping that we can get some other podcasters on here, and I think I may have one lined up. As always, thank you very much for listening to Twisted Britain. Do hit subscribe on whatever podcast platform you are listening to on, and a rating and a review always goes a long way. Thank you very much to anybody who's done that. If you'd like to interact more with Twisted Britain, you can find us on all the social media channels, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. It's just search for Twisted Britain and we'll come up on all of them. I do have a lovely discussion group on Facebook. It's just called Twisted Britain Discussion Group. And I'd very much like anybody and everybody to come along and join us on that. If you want to chat to myself and several other podcast creators and podcast fans, I am a member of a Discord forum that I will put a link to in the show notes, and I'll pop up on social media this week. If you want to jump on there, you'll find the 3 Spooked Girls, you'll find Cast Junkie, you'll find 5 and 30 with Ruck, you'll find loads and loads of different people on there all the time. And everyone will engage. It's a lovely group of people. At last count, there's 6 billion people on there or something silly like that. So you'll always find something. There's lots of audio drama and everything on there. It's a really cool place to hang out. To those of you that are members of Twisted Britain Patreon, I am sorry for my slackness in the last month. There will be a new episode going out in March, and then there will be one every month after that. I apologise for the hiatus. It's just been while I've been getting my head around doing Twisted Britain on my own. Those of you that aren't Patreons, thank you very much for continuing with me. It means a lot, and it means that Twisted Britain will carry on forever, or as long as I can possibly string all this out anyway. Twisted Patreon's going to go a bit of a revamp, and I will post new tiers on there at some point soon. And if you'd like to join us on there, just search Patreon Twisted Britain. As always, thank you very much for joining us. I hope you enjoyed that twisted story, and I will be back in 2 weeks' time to tell you another one. Thank you. Love you. Bye.